welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy, sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book-related things. And today I am giving you my worst books of the year. I did the Battle Royale style for my top books of the year, and I thought that it would be even more fun to do the bottom, worst, whatever books of the year. So for each month I picked out a book that I enjoyed the least, and then have put them together to fight it out. I will be including a picture of what this currently looks like because if I zoomed in it would be really inconvenient. I'm also going to say that there's a cat sleeping in the floor right next to my feet, so when I have to move over because I'm left-handed to write on the board, I might trip and fall, and I might cut that footage out or leave it in. Who knows? Not me. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's get this show on the road for round one. Like I said, one book for every month. Unlike the top books, I will be picking the worst of the two. My top books I was picking the best, this one I'm picking the worst. So let's get this show on the road. First we have A Marvelous Light, which I got in a Lumicrate thing, and Phaedra, which was an advanced reader copy that I was given and read in November. This is tough. Phaedra was hard to read because it was hard to tell the difference between the characters, and it was boring. A Marvelous Light was hard to read because I don't like hearing about bodily liquids, and also there was a lot of, are they allegories? I don't know, those things where they're like, use the phrasing of like, it was like a building of magical books, and like comparing it to a bunch of stuff, basically. I don't like those, and if a book is, I like started tabbing up all of the times that that was done, and in just one chapter I think I used 20 tabs, and I fucking hate that. Did I finish the book? Yes. Did I enjoy it? No. And the fact that I'm still talking about it is going to say to me that A Marvelous Light is going to be the winner on that one. That was easy. That's generally how things work for me, is if I keep talking about it, that's probably the one I didn't like. Yeah, man, you're in the way. Next up, we have Summer Suns, which, okay, I'll explain that in a second. And The Villa. The Villa was an advanced reader copy. Summer Suns was a reread, and while I enjoyed it a lot on my first read, and I own the book, like I liked it enough that I owned it, upon my reread I was like, this book is not as good as I remember it being. I'm not enjoying this book as much. Now, does that mean it was a bad book? No, and I feel like I should have disclaimed this at the beginning. Just because it's on this list doesn't mean it was a bad book. It just means that of the books I read that month, it happened to be the worst book that month. And that's kind of the vibe with Summer Suns. I think I read a ton of really good books that month, and then when I read Summer Suns, it just didn't stand up to the other books that I was reading. So, The Villa, on the other hand, this author, whose name I can't think of right now, Rachel Hawkins, she's really good at writing really good thrillers until the very end, and then you hate everything about it. She cannot write an ending to save her life. Her and Riley Sager should be like this with their thrillers, and The Villa was no exception, and that's why it wins, because I fucking hated the ending. And it's like a pattern with this author, and I hate that. The Villa had so much grounds to be so incredibly good, and then the ending just literally ruined all of it. These next two are a little bit complicated because I have complicated feelings about why I picked them. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and Wrath Goddess Sing. Now, Wrath Goddess Sing I DNF'd. I did not make it very far into that book, and I wasn't going to talk about that book at all to begin with. It had a lot of controversies, and I understand the controversies, but here's the thing. The real issue with that book is I thought it was badly written. I was not enjoying it, and so I DNF'd it. Not because of any of the controversies, unfortunately, I guess. I don't know. I don't think I even made it that far. I don't think I even made it to controversy depth. I think I just made it to, I don't like this writing style, I don't like this prose, and I think that this is badly written. And so I DNF'd it. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife was a thriller that I listened to, I think on a road trip, and I hated it. It was just, you couldn't really forgive anybody involved. None of it really made sense. The ending was stupid. But I did finish it. So I think that that inherently gets it to be the winner because I did finish it, and I can confirm that even all the way through, it was still bad. All the way through. Start to finish, not a good book. Rooster, why are you asleep right there right now? Alright, Next up, we have Book of Night by Holly Black, which is Holly Black's like first adult book, I think. And then The Ivory Key. I don't know who wrote this. I don't remember who wrote it. I got it in a Illumicrate box when they stopped giving pins and started giving random shit. This was around the time that I canceled Illumicrate because I was like, nah, I don't like this. Book of Night was boring. That's really it. It was boring. I didn't have fun reading it. It felt like a young adult that they just added sex to make it gritty. And that's lame to me. I feel like just because you, like, I feel like that's a cop-out. Like, if you don't make any effort to do adult level writing and plot, and instead you just add sex and that's how you're gonna call it adult, I feel weird about that. But like, based on the audiences of the folk, like the people who read the Folk of the Air trilogy and enjoy it, and like I'm somebody who enjoyed those books a lot, but based on the way that they're like, I wish it didn't fade to black, you know, that makes sense that that's what happened. The Ivory Key now, I started this book 4 times before I was able to keep reading it. I finally had to get the audiobook. I couldn't tell you the difference between each of the characters' chapters. Like, other than the fact that they weren't in the same place, I would have to be like, wait, who is this again? What sibling is this? There was too many characters, there was too much going on, and it just... I didn't have fun. Every time I started it, I was like, ugh, I don't want to read this. But, like, I owned it, and I felt like a weird obligation to try and read it. And it wasn't that it was, like, bad. The plot was interesting. It just was, like, too hard to follow all of the different moving pieces, especially for a young adult book. There's just too many characters. I'm gonna say The Ivory Key wins this round, because Book of Night, like, my biggest complaint was that it was a YA that they said was, adult, and the only thing that made it adult was the sex, so. Also, sorry, I'm left-handed, so I keep, like, smudging at the lines. Alright, these next 2 are fun. We've got The Magicians, don't know who wrote it, and then The Monarchs, which is a sequel to, I think, The Ravens. So, these are bad for very different reasons. The Magicians was bad because I fucking love the TV show. Let me start there. I love the TV show, first off, but second off, what happens in The Magicians, the book? A whole lot happens. It's a very long book. But mainly, our main character, whose name I've erased out of my mind, is so insufferable. He can't go a single page without talking about someone's tits. Not one page without talking about someone's tits. Which is crazy to me. Like, his girlfriend, his teachers, his friends... He is so degrading to women and horrible to women the entire book that it's fucking unbearable. And then the writing on top of it is just bad. It's wordy. There's too much that happens in one book that you're like, how are there more books? There shouldn't even be more books. And there's things that we could have gone more in depth onto, but we didn't because we focused too hard on our main character who's a piece of shit and should have died. And I wish he did. The Monarchs suffered from sequel syndrome so fucking badly that it was astonishing to me that it came from the same author. It was the worst sequel, one of the worst sequels I've ever read. Now, the Wicked Kingdom or whatever still wins for worst ever sequel I've ever read, but this one came pretty close. It suffered very heavily from sequel syndrome. It was not nearly as good. It focused a lot more on the romance and the romantic drama than it did the actual plot of the previous book. And for me, I don't read a lot of these books for romance, and so if you shift the focus into this weird, like, girls being obsessed with boys kind of thing, and like they're arguing in communication focusing around that mentality, I can't. It's just not for me, especially because these are supposed to be college-aged girls, and I'm sorry, but I know a lot of college-aged girls, and they've grown up past that at that point. So it was foolishness and ridiculous and very sequel syndrome, and I didn't enjoy it. However, The Magicians still takes the cake, though, because fuck that guy. Also, very men shouldn't write women. To be fair, I don't read a lot of male authors anymore, and I think this is why. Oh, these next ones, this one's going to be a really easy pick. It's The Hunting Wives versus The Atlas Paradox. The Atlas Paradox suffered from sequel syndrome. It wasn't a bad book, though. It was the worst book that I read that month, but it wasn't a bad book. So, you know who wins? The Hunting Wives. You know why? It was a fucking horrible... It was like watching The Real Housewives of Dallas, except they have sex with minors, and also maybe murder is involved. That's what that was. That's what that was. So, alright. So that ends round one. I'm gonna take a picture of what we're at so that I can put it on the screen here, and then we will get started for round 2. I like the note cards because I was planning on doing this as like my murder wall that I took down, but then I didn't want to do all the brackets. So anyway, my motivation also for filming this finally is I want to use my whiteboard and I can't until this is done. So anyway, here we go, round 2. We've got A Marvelous Light versus The Villa. You know what? This is actually really easy for me. I'm going to say that The Villa wins. Because again, the ending was stupid. A Marvelous Light, the plot was pretty solid actually. I enjoyed the plot. It just getting us there was what was annoying. Where did my pen go? The Villa wins. I don't really need to think about that one too heavily because it wins. I don't know. Next up we have The Ivory Key versus In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say In My Dreams I Hold a Knife wins, because it is a thriller that at the end I wasn't even like vindicated by the ending. I was like, this is stupid. This is a stupid book. I wish that I had never had to read this. So yeah, I'm gonna have to say that In My Dreams I Hold a Knife wins. And last but not least, we have The Magicians versus The Hunting Wives. This is tough. How do you choose between men badly writing women and women badly writing women? It's tough. Yeah, this is a tough one. I think that The Magicians at least had the benefit of a cool plot, an interesting plot. That is the reason that I finished reading it. The only reason I finished reading The Hunting Wives was because it was so fucking outrageously stupid that I was like, how does this even come together in the end? I need to see. I need to know how this even comes together in the end. And you know what? It doesn't. It doesn't come together in the end. Now then, give me a moment. I'm going to take a picture so we can see it, and then we'll get started on round 3. For our final round, we have, and I will give these first, second, and third places because of course, The Villa, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and The Hunting Wives. I guess this was not the year for thrillers because thrillers are in my final 3. Here's the thing. The Villa was truly only bad when I got to the ending. It was just the ending that made it bad. Did it ruin the entire book? Literally, yes. But did I have a fun time up until I got to the ending? Yes. So I'm going to put this in third place. Honestly, the only reason that it is, like, it was paired with The Marvelous Light, which was, I finished it and it was a solid-ish read. There was just a lot of, like, writing things I didn't like about it. If this had been paired to a different book, say The Hunting Wives, I don't think that it would have made it this far, you know? Or even The Magicians. I don't think it would have made it this far. So The Villa is going to be, let me use the pink pen for this. My third place. So then that leaves In My Dreams I Hold a Knife and The Hunting Wives. Now, The Hunting Wives is the worst book I read this year. I don't even think I need to get into it further. The Hunting Wives is the worst book I read this year, which is really unfortunate. I think the author is actually from Texas and where I live, but to me, there was no like real consequences for adult women being with minors. This lady basically threw her entire life away to be with the cool crowd, and I'm sorry, adults generally won't do that, especially putting their children at risk. There was a lot of plot holes and just a lot of things that just straight up didn't make sense to me, and I didn't like it. So The Hunting Wives is the winner. It is winner, worst book I read this year. Winner. And In My Dreams I Hold a Knife would come second. So that's it. That is it. I am going to close out the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a comment down below. Let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. If you didn't enjoy this video, you're in luck. I don't make them that often. And by that I mean I make them once a year. So lucky you. But I post videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, more or less. I've been on a bit of a hiatus because of personal life things, so I am going to try and maintain posting again on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I make no promises at the current moment. I would love to get monetized this year. I did hit my 1K subscribers, so if you guys want to just watch my videos in the background or whatever, that would be cool. But that's it. I will see you guys later. Don't forget to take your meds, drink your water, and do something today to take care of yourselves. Okay, thanks. Bye.